Let's take a look at how the Pythagorean theorem was discovered and what it means. The Pythagorean theorem is all about right triangles. Remember, a right triangle has a one right angle. A right angle measures 90 degrees. We're taking a look at a right triangle that has side lengths of 3, 4, and 5. We're going to draw squares on each side of the triangle. Side A is 3 squares long. Side B is 4 squares long. And side C is 5 squares long. Now let's square each side. We've talked recently about what it means to square a number. When we square something, we multiply it by itself. Essentially, we're going to be finding the area of these squares. So when we're looking at side A, we see that A is equal to 3. So we have 3 squared, which is equal to 3 times 3. So that means the square of A is 9. When we look at side B and square it, we see that side B has a length of 4. 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. There are 16 squares on side B. And side C has a side length of 5. So the square of side C, 5 times 5, is equal to 25. There are 25 squares associated with side C. When we count up these squares, we'll notice that there's a relationship between the number. Side A had 9 squares, side B had 16 squares, and side C had 25 squares. Pause the video and see if you can find the relationship between side A, B, and C. If you're having trouble finding a relationship, try adding side A and B together and comparing that to side C. What do we find? We find that the square of A plus the square of B is equal to the square of C. In other words, A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. This is true for all right triangles. We call this the Pythagorean theorem. So say we had another right triangle. With side lengths of 4 and 5, but we don't quite know what C is. We can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of C. We know that A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. That means I take side A, 4, and square it. Add that to side B, which is 5 squared, and it'll tell me what C squared is. 4 squared is 16. 5 squared is 25. And 16 plus 25 is 41. So 41 is equal to C squared. A couple of weeks ago, we learned how to estimate this number. We need to find out what c is. We know that c squared is 41. So if I take the square root, the opposite of squaring, of both sides, it will tell me the length of c. I want to estimate the square root of 41. I need to find the perfect squares that it's in between. I know that 7 times 7 is 49, and 6 times 6 is 36. So the square root of 41 must be between 6 and 7. It's probably around 6.5. So we say that c is approximately 6.5, or equal to the square root of 41.